Welcome to the Market Herold Deal Room. Thanks for joining us. But first to a company which will be producing phosphate from an open pit mine in southern Brazil within months. Aguia, ASX code AGR, is establishing a mine to meet the South American nation's domestic demand for crop fertiliser over an 18-year lifespan. Aguia is funding the site's capex with the proceeds from a $4 million capital raise, topped up by a $3.75 million loan just secured from the Brazilian Development Bank. MD Dr. Fernando Tallarico explains.
The Três Estradas phosphate project, we call it TEP for simplicity, is located here in southernmost Brazil towards the border of Uruguay, where I live. We went through all the greenfield exploration, all that process of outlining the resource and then going all the test work and the engineering, everything that is completed. And we also went through a very detailed baseline environmental study that was also completed and filed. So we got the first level of permitting, and we're waiting for the green light from the environmental agencies to start construction, which we believe will be around mid-year.
So you've got quite a resource, but who will you be selling the phosphate to?
Well, essentially, the state of Rio Grande this year was the second biggest grain producer in the country. And there's absolutely no local source. Everything comes imported either from Northern Africa or from Peru. So we are sitting right inside the markets. We have a demand that's essentially 10 times what we are going to produce. So at full production, our project will be accessing 10% of the market share.
Is it at that point that your company, Aguia, will be profitable?
Absolutely, yes. We released a bankable feasibility study of our phosphate project, and the rate of return and the numbers are spectacular, especially for a company of our size.
What will be the mine life for the TEP project?
For this particular project that we have ore to be selling at a rate of 300,000 tons a year for 18 years of life of mine. We were the first company to explore phosphate in this part of the world. And because of that, we were lucky enough to be able to put our hands on more targets around that. Over time, we expect to be putting these other ore bodies into production, expanding either mine life or ramping up the scale of production. And essentially, we look at it as a multi-generational phosphate asset.
There is a fair bit of money needed for the project, some $7 million.
Compared to other projects in the mining space, this is a quite a modest barrier for capital expenditures. We will get to 10 when we include the land purchase, and this is already 98% completed. We just have a couple of things to tie it up, but we're almost there.
This is because you did a capital raise in April, $4.07 million, and now you've secured a loan as well. Tell me about that.
So we have been working with the local development bank. It's a branch of the Federal Development Bank in Brazil, but it's exclusively focused in the southernmost region of the country. We went through several rounds of presentations and discussions. We got to the end of this process with the approval of it's 50% it was supposed to be 50% of the capex. We'll be looking into Brazilian reais, but given the currency now, it eroded a little bit. And so we're looking at 3.75 million Australian dollars.
Why get a loan when arguably you could raise more capital?
This was a decision that we made in the board because there's pros and cons. We made a combination of equity and debt. First of all, we had the option of having cheap money with the development bank, but the second important point is the fact that we prevent excessively dilution with our existing shareholders, that, by the way, have been very loyal with us over the years.
Is the project still on track for the first quarter of 2022?
It pretty much depends now on the green light from the environmental agency. And then we start construction. We're looking at a period between 6 and 8 months to construct. Very simple construction as well. The operation would involve essentially crush, grind, and drying, and then sell. So it's a very simple operation.
When you raised $4 million in a placement in April, the share price was 9 cents. Now the share price is sitting at 6.8 cents. Why, on the brink of bringing this project to fruition, is the share price actually lower?
This period, unfortunately, it's a period where we're doing all the admin work. It's not a very attractive moment for news flow, or when you get to the completion of a loan with the development bank. Yes, it attracts attention, but then it goes a little bit quiet, and we're really waiting to start construction. So I think that unfortunately the stock price would reflect that.
Tell me about the copper and gold projects that Aguia also has underway.
The most advanced project is the one we could call Andrade. Andrade was subject to a scoping study that we put out in the beginning of 2021. Very simple project where it's open pit mining. The processing would involve crush and grinding, obviously, but then it's amenable to heap leaching, so it doesn't have to go through a sophisticated flow sheet of processing. Again, it's reflected in the economics of the project that we announced to the market. We're looking at a resource of 18 million tons, almost 19 million Aussie dollars to build the infrastructure of the mine, and with a rate of return that's in excess of 40%. So it's a very profitable project, and the NPV in the same scale of the phosphate, a little bit higher. So if you look at what we have in terms of phosphate and copper assets, we're looking at present values of these projects combined in the range of almost 200 million Australian dollars. So there's a lot of wealth to be unlocked, especially on the copper side now. In addition to that, we have another 7 copper targets, all in the same region that we're developing. The idea is to be moving these projects one by one and keeping the pipeline of projects. And eventually in the future, my vision is to have a central processing facility and different operations of supplying this central hub. That will be essentially the status and the forecast for the future on the copper side.
That was Aguia MD, Dr. Fernando Tallarico in Brazil. The company has a market cap of about $22 million and share trade opened at 7 cents today. That's the Market Herold Deal Room. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.